Julie. I'm super happy to be here with you at Yolanda Mezcaleria. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming. This is a great experience. This is a great opportunity to highlight the brand and get to chat with you some more. So.
Thank you. I actually I did wanted to highlight that Yolanda Mezcaleria was the first place that brought us in Miami. So like it's a place that I always like whenever I'm here in Miami, I come and I really enjoy like having cocktails here and talking with you and Mariano. So like we really wanted to get to know you more and also get to know more about what do you guys do here.
So this is Yolanda Mezcaleria. We are one of the very few mezcalerias in Miami, in South Florida, really. We have a large selection of all Mexican spirits, so tequila, mezcal, raicilla, and of course, Sotol. We really love to highlight these spirits, and when people come in, there's a lot of education, and our whole cocktail menu is based off these spirits, so yeah.
I love it. I really love it, and I think you're being like a breakthrough in that sense, and bringing a bit of the Mexican flair to Miami as well.
Yeah.
And yes, and touching on that point, you were actually born in Mexico, right? Am I right?
I was born in Mexico City. Yes.
Okay.
I lived there for 3 years and then raised in Miami. So.
And can you tell me a bit of like how that reconnected you with agave spirits, and you're actually now called Miss Agave, right? So you're kind of a celebrity in Instagram. So if you can tell us more about that.
So I started bartending in an agave bar in Australia, and
cool.
So learning about all these spirits, we were trained on how to sell them, of course, and the more I learned about it, the more I became passionate about these spirits, and so I started my account, and through that and the years that had gone by, more brands that I've been trying, and then now I spend a lot of time in Mexico, so it's kind of like a full circle where I was born there, I didn't really go back since I was 5, and now I spend quite a bit of time in Mexico, so it's pretty exciting.
That's a cool story. How did you come up to like start bartending, right? Like, because I think that no one is born, or maybe like some people are like,
yeah.
Oh, I want to like be a bartender, but how did you come up like into this industry?
So when I moved overseas, I figured the best way to get to know a city and meet people, make friends, locals, was working in a restaurant. It's not as easy as, I don't know if it sounds easy, but I figured, yeah, so I took, the first place that hired me was this tequila bar called Touche Hombre in the middle of the CBD in Melbourne. And I was a food runner, a server, and the manager one day just put me behind the bar, and so...
Yeah, tell me about that story, like how, like, what were you feeling, like, how was it?
I mean, I was kind of during like pre-shift when we would all get our sections, and then he like called out my name, and he was like, you're gonna be behind the bar, and I'm like, yeah, right, you know, because as much as like I wanted to, like I had no experience, and it was a pretty busy bar, and now I run a bar in Miami, so 9 years later, here we are.
That's amazing. And I guess like it's been a long journey, right? And there's a lot of like challenges like that happen in that journey. So if you can tell us like kind of like if you remember like a bad day, you know, like behind the bar, and after that, like what kept you like going, and yeah.
I mean, I think in general, one great thing about this industry is that each day is just a new day. We can all have bad days, maybe an uncomfortable experience with, you know, customer service. We all know, we all have our stories, but I think the beauty of it is that each day is a new day, right? Like you close that day and then you start, and it's a whole new guests that come in, and it's like a kind of like a fresh start. So that kind of helps keep you going. It's, you know,
Totally.
Take that, yeah.
And do you have like a bartender who you admire?
So the first bartender that I worked with, I thought she was super cool. She was from Perth. She had all these tats, and I remember her just like sitting at the bar and just saying like, if I'm not selling tequila, I'm not doing my job, right? Okay. And so, I don't know, I guess her mindset and her attitude, like I really admired her. I don't have any contact with her anymore, but I guess like being the first, I guess, person who taught me behind the bar. But Yeah.
But I think that's actually a really cool story, right?
Yeah.
Because as we know, like the industry is also like quite like male dominated. So it's really cool that there was actually another woman who inspired you, you know,
yeah.
and kind of like, I think there's this edgy part, as you're saying, kind of like all the tattoos, and it's kind of like a lifestyle, and yeah,
she was so cool.
I mean, it gets people like that to actually make you fall in love with something, right? So
For sure.
yeah.
I also learned kind of how to drink tequila because of her.
Okay.
I remember we would go out to drink, you know, with the staff, and I just didn't know what to order. I mean, I grew up in Miami, but who knows what I was drinking in the clubs out here before I moved out there. And I don't know, she was like, what do you mean you don't know, right? And she would get Esfalon on the rocks and a Tecate. And I was like, same.
That's good. At Tecate, there was Tecate in Australia?
There was Raicilla,
Wow.
there was Sotol, there was Mezcal, all these tequilas that we know and love today.
Okay.
And this is 2015, 2016.
Wow.
So I get, you know, hats off to the CBD in Melbourne and the hospitality industry there, because as far away as it is, that was like my introduction to quality agave. Where here in Miami, I didn't know any of these brands existed.
Well, I guess in that sense, it's really cool what you're doing, like through this bar, right? Because you're also educating a community of people who live in Miami, and also like foreigners who come here and kind of like they want a different experience in not only agave, but this other like upcoming and kind of like rising categories like Sotol and Bacanora, for instance. In that sense, like, how was your first experience when tasting Sotol?
I think my palate is very much because of all the agave that I genuinely enjoy drinking. It's pretty much my go-to for anytime I'm out. My palate genuinely was loved it, you know? I think there's pretty unique tasting notes that you get. Of course, we're talking about a different region, the north, you know, Chihuahua. But I was super open to it, and I genuinely enjoy drinking it or making cocktails with it, like we have here on the menu, the Desert Sunrise.
Yeah, I love it. It's so good. And yeah, like people who haven't been here, they should definitely come and try it.
For sure, for sure.
Not making an ad here in any way or form, but yes, it's really good. And how do you see like the industry of like this rising categories like evolving, and how do you see it like from a bartender perspective, like which types of cocktails would you be interested in creating, or like which flavors?
So obviously being in an agave bar, I think more people are open to trying these spirits. Half the time because we might be forcing them on it. Like if you get the cantarito that comes with tequila and raicilla, a lot of people love the flavors that come in the Desert Sunrise and maybe don't know Sotol, and they're trying it because it's there. And so I think education is definitely the way to go. There's so many different, I think it's definitely growing, right? I think most people now know tequila and definitely know mezcal. I remember when people still didn't know what mezcal was, and here we have a mezcaleria. And so I feel like these other spirits are going to, dare I say, piggyback, but in a good way. So when you come into a bar like this, you know, the idea is you have such a wide selection. We have so many different spirits from Mexico, different regions, different agave or plants like Sotol. And so our goal here is to educate the guests, you know, even if they're getting a flight, you know, we make sure that they understand what they're sipping on or their cocktails. We have something for everybody, you know, on the stronger side, so with coffee that people tend to love. But yeah, all these brands, we have a wide selection here. Any bar can order them. And so a lot of times you go to many different bars and you kind of see the same brands there. This is a bar where we do focus on quality and quantity because we want to showcase the selection, different spirits that you can come and try, and hopefully when you go to other bars and you see these bottles, you know, they can be your next go-to as well. Or maybe when you're shopping for yourself or for gifts. I don't bring these from Mexico in my back pocket. You know, a lot of times I want to showcase, like, kind of like if it's here, it's approved, it's good. I know not everybody can have the huge agave selection. Of course, every bar knows their clientele, but there is so much to try out there, and they're all so unique. So it's pretty special.
Yeah, I think you're actually doing a lot, like, for not only for tequila, right? You're doing a lot for the mezcal category, and also for Sotol and other upcoming categories like Bacanora.
Right.
And that takes, like, a titanic, work, right? Because it's kind of like you're just making people try something completely new and different. But as you say, like, the next time they go to another bar, they will probably, like, open their minds and kind of be like, oh, there's like a whole universe in terms of agave and Sotol, in terms of Mexican spirits, right? And that's all about, I think, like, the exploration that it's behind that, right? And because each spirit reflects, like, the culture, like the traditions, and kind of like what's behind that spirit. And specifically in terms of Sotol, I do think that like, there's kind of this challenge of the plant being, like, for it to come to a bottle, it has to be at least like 15 years for it to mature. It grows, like, in the desert with all this, like, harsh conditions. And I love doing this simile because I think that the people that is behind the bar and in the industry do have to go through, like, all these tough conditions, right? So I really, like, love how, like, Sotol falls in this category, but in this industry, because it just reflects the spirit of the industry itself. So yeah, I'm loving what you're doing here. It's great. And yes, also, like, if you can tell us more about, like, who's Miss Agave, what do you do, kind of like that personality behind Miss Agave as well.
Okay, yeah, so Miss Agave, you can find me on Instagram, MISS Agave, and I started it as just a platform to talk about agave spirits. I really wanted to have a space to do that, and at the time when I started the account back at the end of 2019, the bar I was working at, it was a tequila bar, but I guess the guests didn't necessarily want to engage that much. Obviously, the agave category has grown so much since then. And little by little, I adapted to social media, started putting more videos out, more content. Brands started noticing there's a whole agave community on social media as well. And my focus is, and always has been, education. I'm very grateful for all the opportunities that have come to me, even, this, and getting to do this with you, and being able to share my knowledge or my experiences, from photos to videos, of the hard work that really goes into these spirits that we know and love, and the time, as you were mentioning. So yeah, I think that's really special.
Yeah, I really, like, love your platform, and I do think that, like, once you're educating, like, you get a lot out of it, right? Because, like, as we mentioned, like, it's like liquid to lips, but before that, like, there has to be kind of like this information around it, and like, with all this, like, variety of Mexican spirits, like, there's a whole universe to explore. So congrats on that. And like, I think that if someone is listening to us, you should definitely follow Miss Agave.
Thank you.
And yes, also, if you could tell us more about, like, what's the right, like, time to come and visit Yolanda Mezcaleria, because, like, it's such a cool place that, like, people who come to Miami should definitely, like, not miss it.
I agree. Thank you. So yes, the space is super cozy. We're in Little River. It opens from Tuesday to Saturday from 5 p.m. We do have great tacos as well, so you can come here to eat, chill. There's a nice patio, dog friendly, and sometimes we do have DJs, and it can be more of like a party vibe, but for the most part, it's like lounge style, and there's so much to try. There's cocktails, non-alcoholic cocktails too, so something for everybody.
Perfect. I love it. Well, thank you very much for
you.
having us here, and we really invite like everyone to come here and enjoy this amazing spirits, and also if they have the opportunity to get to know you better because you're an amazing human being with a
you so
beautiful
much.
energy. So yeah, they won't only enjoy a cocktail, they will enjoy certainly a good conversation. So
Appreciate that.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
as I
Thank
have
you.
done like so far. Well, thank you actually for having us here, and I guess salud, right?
Salud.
Let's get into it.